What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, guys. I was scrolling through, seen another video I haven't seen from my guy Andrew Austin. We here with sick leave in Sweden versus the U.S. As y'all know, in the U.S. we don't get too many sick days off, but I know for the companies and organizations that I worked for, usually when I was sick, even if I was sick that day, I was able to, hey, I'm not gonna be there today. It wasn't a big deal. Because, I mean, when it comes to sick days, you can't plan to be sick. At least not from my understanding. If you plan, you know what? I think I'm going to be sick on this. Maybe if I wanted to be off, I'll plan a sick day. But other than that, it's one of those, like, at a time. Because when I worked in education, I worked in special education. So we had 3 teachers most of the time anyway. So that was kind of easier to take off. When I did another form of education, which was I had to go to different schools and stuff like that. When I had to call off that day, I just had to contact certain schools I was going to, let them know that I wasn't going to be there, contact my supervisor, different things like that. So if I was really sick, did it help? Did it work? Of course. But usually I don't get too sick too often, so this is definitely going to be interesting to see some differences and stuff. But y'all hit that subscribe button. Send down those recommendations.
Hey guys, in this one we're talking about why I don't usually take sick days in Sweden. That's coming up.
Nice scenery.
Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. I'm going to go into this one. First of all, I'm happy with the universal healthcare system in Sweden. I've been here a long time. I'm happy with Sweden, but I don't think that the sick system in Sweden is perfect. I know they've made some small changes and stuff like that, but I want to go into my experience and what I think they can do to make it better. No one ever has to. I just thought this would be interesting to talk about. So, if this doesn't ultimately get changed, it's not going to change much. But in Sweden, if you're sick the first day, let's say Monday you're sick, you don't get paid anything.
Oh, wow.
And then Tuesday through Friday you're sick, you get 80% of your salary each day after that. So if you're sick one day, trust me, you're staying home another day or two to at least get your money's worth and to make sure that you're okay. But in Sweden, if you have kids, let's say your kid is sick, for example, you can stay home to take care of that kid, and you get your full salary.
Shit, where are you? Norway has invaded Sweden.
I see. And see, I know here, if your kid you can't really stay home, but you may be able to use your own sick days. Like, we have a certain amount of sick. I think when I worked for a certain company, we had a certain amount of sick days that we could use. That's another thing I didn't mention in the beginning. Like, we have a certain amount, so it might be like 3 to 5 that you can use. But if your child's sick, you might have to use your own sick day just to be with them.
Yeah, I see, but why are you calling me? I'm
and of course with pay.
That is awesome. I'm speaking as someone that doesn't have kids yet. Maybe in a couple years there'll be some Andrews running around, little Andrews. That's probably
not the little Andrews
in the future. But right now, this is what it's like just being a dude paying your taxes and stuff like that. When I first came to Sweden, I was 25 years old. I wasn't making a ton of money to begin with. And I had the stress of paying my American tuition back, which means that I've talked about this in other videos. Between 3,000 to 5,000 crowns is what's already coming out of my salary that I got to pay on Uncle Sam. So as you can imagine, being in an expensive country to be with, being sick, and then knowing on top of that I'm sick and I'm going to have to pay money out of my pocket to be sick was kind of tough for me. And the thing I find in Sweden is a couple things. One, there are always going to be people that are going to take advantage of the system.
Facts.
I think the system would be better, this is just my opinion, of course, is I would like to have 5 days. 5 days. It could be 3 to 5. But that amount of time where, hey, if you're sick, if you need to take a personal day, if you need to go somewhere else, you take those 5 days and you get paid a full salary. After those 5 days, you get 80% of your original salary. Something like that. So give everybody a couple sick
and I know this video is at least way before the COVID days, so it might be changed now. It might be different. They might actually do this now. Give them a little bit more days since Corona.
Because the problem is this: people that can afford to be sick. I'm not saying this is everybody, but I think in every profession, there's probably people that aren't happy with what they're doing, and they can afford it. They own a house at this point or something else, and trust me, they start to feel a little sick, and then they're gone for a week. But what do? They never miss longer than 5 days. They stay within that system, and so they miss between 3 and 5 days a month over the course of a year. And what happens is maybe other people have to pick up that slack, and then those people get sick. So it just starts like a whole process. Yeah. I just think this could be fixed by giving people a certain number of days, and then after that, cutting it off. It's also an interesting thing too, because this is a side point, but it's really great that you can stay home to take care of your kids.
Very great.
I think that's fantastic. I don't think that should be taken away. I think it's a great thing. I'm sure it's a small minority, but like, I just think it's psychology at the same time. Is it not possible, though, that parents could, they could also work the system a little bit as well? Maybe they don't feel like going to work, or their kid's just a little sick, and they keep them home a couple of days.
Hey, you know what? I've been there, done that. As y'all said, there were some days I planned a sickness. Not like planned being sick, but planned to take off because of sickness. Sometimes you might develop a headache. And you know what? Sometimes it's like that weather changes. Sometimes you just need a day.
They make it to stay home. I've heard stories of people, getting caught on the ferry saying their kid was sick to go on a trip. And
I ain't did that.
So I do think it happens. I think that people should be able to take care of their kids at home. I think that's all great. But just hear it from my perspective. Let's say I never want to have kids. Let's just say that's something I never want to do. Or I can't have kids, or someone I'm with can't have kids, or we don't want to adopt. It seems to be the way the Swedish system works. It works really well if you want to have kids. But I feel like, let's say you don't want to have kids. And so that means for the rest of your life, you're always going to miss that 80% of your salary when you're sick. Or you're going to miss that first day and then get that 80%. And we're all paying into the same tax system, and it seems that the tax system only benefits you then if you have kids.
So it's like, should you get the extra days to make up for a person that don't have kids? Especially if we looking at, those advantages, but I think it's still the same thing. I know people with kids, people without kids. Of course, I have children and stuff like that, but it's so many different things when it comes down to the benefits that you have with having children. Everything. It's the same here. A lot of benefits having children.
You're healthy and making not that much money. I don't think there's a lot of people in their mid-20s in Sweden just taking random days off left and right because we're not making enough in the workforce anyways. Now, being a parent has to have other stress and factors to it. I'm sure I'm not the only immigrant in Sweden that has other bills, has other expenses that they have to pay. So the way I think the system would be perfect, like I said, is just give me a set number of days. That's all. Give me 3, give me 5. I feel like every person in Sweden should be able to be sick and then take that time. Now, granted, we get 5 weeks paid vacation. I get all of that. But me being a teacher, I can't really just pick that time whenever I want.
It's hard to take off as a teacher.
So I have to take my vacation in the summer. So this is just speaking from that perspective. When I actually look at how much time I get off as being a teacher, it's the same in the U.S. as it is pretty much in Sweden. But the crazy thing is in the U.S. system, I would get days, and then I would be able to accumulate those days. I would get 1 day off, or even when I'm not sick, I can just have like a personal day. To just say, I don't feel like...
They're supposed to automatically give you those when you start. Before it started accumulating.
You guys can tell me what you think in the comments, but I just want to point it out to you that I want to stay home when I'm sick. And I'm getting to a point now where I can afford to be sick for a week and stay home. I'm doing much better with money, but I just want to point out that there is a small group of people, definitely I would think, or people in their early 20s, that are struggling to make ends meet. It's not like every job in Sweden is a high-paying job. There's a lot of really good ones, but there are probably plenty of people out there that can't afford to be sick.
That's
and
a
it just spirals out of control.
I ain't never been sick for a whole week. Like, usually when I'm sick, I try to bounce back the next day. I have had times where I just stayed in bed, but usually I just even when it comes to med, I take certain medicine, not medicine all the time. I usually just do, I guess what we call home remedies type thing. So, hey, I just try to get the citrus fruit, some vitamin C, and some apple cider vinegar and stuff, and take care of my immune system.
I don't want to get anyone else sick, but I want to stay. But I'm just saying, if I feel a little sick, I'm still there. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if I'm really sick, I stay home. And I think the people that can afford to be sick do it a little bit differently. Not hating on anyone that has kids. I don't think a majority.
It make a difference, Andrew. It make a difference.
I think you have to look at the system and admit that some people could take advantage of it, which I think is originally what happened with this system.
It always happens. I know people with kids, and they definitely take advantage of what they can get. Like, with me, even though I have kids, I make a certain amount of money, so can't get what we call food stamps or housing and all that because I make a certain amount. But I know people that they can get food stamp, they can get housing, they can get basically all this stuff. Everything I got that I'm paying for myself, they can get it government funded and not have to pay a dime. And people take advantage of that. Like, I know quite a few.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Take advantage in a bad way, not a good way.
I think a lot of people originally were just taking sick days. I think before it was like unlimited. I could be wrong here, but it was like unlimited, and Sweden had this big problem of maybe people were just like hungover and then just not going to work. So I understand that Sweden's also got to deal with these problems as a whole. So I just wanted to share from my perspective. I love Sweden overall. I don't know what you guys think, so tell me what you think below. If you thought this one was interesting at all, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, I would love to have you guys subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey,
No, definitely. Hey, I say it too. I'm gonna have to get my guy Andrew Austin on the podcast, but it do make a difference. Kids make a huge difference. Cause the benefits, you do get more benefits, but you gotta think like having children, you are gonna spend a little bit more money. So the benefits that you do get back for having children and what comes with raising children, it is beneficial. It's beneficial because kids are a lot of work and a lot of money. But no, I definitely understand where Andrew is coming from because it's like, man, should you don't have kids, should you get like some extra time? You know, I felt that way, especially before I was married with kids. Like, now let me have some extra time or something. I remember working at a restaurant. Like, I didn't smoke. And people could always take a smoke break. I couldn't even take a break because I didn't smoke. I said, that's not fair. But that's just life. That's life. That's life for sure. But guys, that's all I have for this video. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think. It might be different now. Let me know if it's different now. But that's all I have. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.